Let's get started. Can you tell me a little bit about who you are and how you're connected to the Quadriga story?
So for me, yeah, I'm Tong. I actually am a native Canadian. Grew up around Toronto. So I lived in the U.S. for about 7 years, and in 2018, I've been working in the U.S. for a few years, and I was working at a company, kind of not really too satisfied with it. So I want to leave. But in the U.S., this is how visa issues and stuff like that. I didn't want to go for another visa. I thought I would just go back to Canada at that time. And I chose Vancouver because I was just used to the West Coast at that time. So I was already living in California. So that's what I did. I had an apartment. I was living in San Francisco, and so I decided just to sell everything and move back. And I was thinking about ways to move my money back from the U.S. to Canada, and you know, um,
Oh, I am so sorry, Tong. I'm hearing a little bit of squeak with your chair. Is it possible to switch chairs? Would that be okay?
I don't have another chair.
You don't have another chair? Okay, that's
I'll
awesome.
just try to
That's okay.
I'll just try to be uh, stationary. I won't try to move. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Apologies for interrupting. So you were mentioning how you were connected to the Quadriga story.
Yeah, so I was thinking about a way to move my money back from US to Canada after I sold my apartment, right? I didn't want to use the bank because the commission fees and everything, that would actually be quite a sizable chunk because I was moving like half a million back. So it's actually going to quite a bit of money. So I thought a good way to do it might be Bitcoin because it's fairly fast and simple and I can get across the border. So the thing I didn't realize was that the U.S. exchanges I used were all pretty good, but I didn't know about any of the Canadian exchanges. I only knew the top two were CoinSquare and Quadriga, and I guess I went with Quadriga because it was I already had an account there. I just never used it. It was the oldest one in Canada. I think it started in 2013. So that's how I used Quadriga to get my money back. So originally I thought it was, people might be saying like, oh, why are you moving such a huge amount of money for Bitcoin? But it's actually, I just wanted to get out. So basically I bought Bitcoin. I sold it just a few minutes later, basically, not even that much later. So I just held it for a few minutes in Bitcoin. I sold it to Canadian dollars just to get out. So I wasn't trying to take any risk or anything. So I just sent my money to Quadriga, and then just wanted to withdraw it straight away. So that way I can just get it fast into my Canadian bank account, right? So yeah, that's basically how it happened. And then my withdrawal was marked complete by the Quadriga staff. So I thought I was gonna get my money, but then they said, oh well, we have this lawsuit going on with CIBC. It's going to take like a few months to resolve, and I took their word for it because they were updating the Reddit and the Facebook every day. So I was trusting them. I trusted their words, and then yeah, what turned out is they actually didn't have the money, and turns out all the money I sent disappeared. So
Yes. And so let's take a step back. How did you first hear about Quadriga?
Google search probably. Yeah, I just searched
Wow.
like Canadian crypto exchange, and like I said, CoinSquare and Kachiga were the two that popped up. Kachiga had less fees, so that was the one I used, and it was the older one. And we in general, I guess we tend to trust the older company. We think that they might be more trustworthy, but not in this case, I guess.
Did the fact that it was Canadian play any role in trust as well?
Well, I guess so. Like when people think of Canada, I guess the first thought that comes to mind is not like a country full of scammers. Like I didn't think that it was like Nigeria or something like that. So I guess that was. I found out later that a lot of Canadian crypto exchanges were actually scams, but I didn't know this at the time, right? So I did. Yeah. So I think there was some element of trust there that it's Canada. It can possibly happen. We have a good law enforcement here, or so I thought.
And it was a lot of money that you were putting into the exchange because you wanted to sell your house and you wanted to send the profit to send it, you wanted to send it without the bank taking all those fees, correct?
Yeah, so that currency exchange commission would have been at least $10,000. So that's not like a small amount, right?
And so then what happened?
You mean from
So you,
Quadriga's
you
point of view, or?
yeah, so you put, your Bitcoin on the exchange and what happened next after that?
Yeah, so I sold my Bitcoin immediately for Canadian dollars, but it was actually not Canadian dollars. It was this fake dollars called quad bucks, which were supposed to be in kind to Canadian dollars, and I just withdrew it. And we expect our withdrawals to go through pretty fast, but Quadriga's had known issues with withdrawal times, and I think this has been a recurring thing. And I checked on Reddit, and people always said, "Oh, Quadriga always has long withdrawal times, but they always give you your money in the end." So I was like, okay, I guess I just have to wait a few months, and then I'll get my money. At least I'm not taking any risk by leaving it in Bitcoin, right? But yeah, so this was in October, November 2018. And then we found out that Jerry Cotton, the CEO of Quadriga, actually passed away. We didn't find out until January 14th, 2019, but he actually passed away like early December 2018. But we didn't know this, right, until
Hmm.
mid-January.
And so do you remember when you first started to have trouble pulling your money out and you thought, something might be amiss here?
Well, when I tried to withdraw my money, I was told that it was because of the CIBC lawsuit that Quadriga was going through. I was told by the Quadriga staff that I might have to wait, a few more weeks and stuff. And they did keep updating us at the time on Reddit and Facebook. So I believed them. I trusted them, I guess, that was the story. So I waited. I guess it didn't seem like for me, there wasn't real red flags until the Jerry Con death that was actually announced. Yeah. So for me, I was following their updates and stuff. So I didn't think that there was any major red flags until that happened.
And so the one of the major red flags was when Jerry died. Can you describe the moment for me? Like what were you experiencing at that moment?
Yeah, it's so the suspicious thing is that they waited over a month to tell us that Jerry Cotton died. That was one thing. They waited a long time. Apparently, during this time, Jerry's widow, Jennifer Robertson, was in charge of Quadriga during this time. And apparently, Jerry was the only one who knew all the locations of the cold wallets and the keys to those wallets. So he was kind of the sole guy that was operating Quadriga, and we had no idea about this. And then what was really suspicious was that the same day they announced it, they put capital flight controls in Quadriga. So they limited the amount of money you could withdraw. So you couldn't. Well, first of all, fiat withdrawals weren't going through anyways, right? They were marked complete, but they were never actually sent. And then they also put crypto controls on there, so you could only withdraw, I think something like $50,000. That was a limit that you could withdraw. So anything more than that, you can't withdraw any more crypto other than that. And then this got really suspicious because to me, like this is basically how Mt. Gox happened, right? It was basically they started limiting how much you could withdraw. So the amount of crypto, Bitcoin, whatever, they start limiting the withdrawals, and then by that time it was already the end because you couldn't really get your money out. So
Hmm.
yeah.
And throughout all of this, do you know who you were in touch with at Quadriga when you had some trouble pulling your money out? Do you remember who you were talking with or conversing with?
Um, I think the main customer service, like the head of customer support, was Aaron Matthews in Quadriga. I'm not sure if it was him, but it might have been him. But I talked to him through Google Hangouts at one time. This was for a password reset issue, so that might have been him. And then I also talked to him about the withdrawals, and I
Hmm.
had I had $500,000 withdrawal, right? So I asked him like, when is this gonna come through? And he told me, yeah, it might. There might be an issue because of the lawsuit. So you might, if I were you, I would break this down into $25,000 chunks. So that's exactly what he told me, and I think that's who I talked to. There's some other QCX customer representatives, Lily or Peter, but that I think Aaron was the main guy.
And what did he tell you? Do you remember what his response was when you were like, "Hey, I need this money. This is my money." He just kept saying smaller chunks. Try and pull smaller chunks
Well, I
off.
emailed them, yeah, and they just said, yeah, it's because of the lawsuit. You just wait like a few more weeks until we get it. There was some issue with Bank of Montreal or something like that, with their payment processor, Builderfi. So that's what he kept telling us. Um, and actually, for me, I believed them, and I didn't think this was too suspicious because actually this happens to me all the time. Like I always get delays and stuff like that. So like just customer support is just bad for most companies, I think. So for me, this is bad customer support. But then again, I've had so many issues with customer support with every other company I've dealt with in my life. So this wasn't really that out of the ordinary.
Hmm. And can you tell me, what you were feeling, what was going through your mind at this point when you have a representative for the company telling you, "Hey, you gotta request fewer amounts of money if you really want to pull this out."
Well, what he said kind of made sense to me. So I didn't think that there was anything suspicious about that. And I actually didn't think there was anything suspicious until the day that Jerry's death was announced. So
Mm.
after that, I got really concerned, and then I just started praying that, oh, I hope this isn't a scam. Like I hope you know this goes through. I hope that they're not going to go bankrupt. So that was the day kind of everything changed. Else, I would have pulled everything out if I had any sort of suspicion that this was like a high probability that this could have been a scam, I would have like pulled out really fast. I would have just taken the extra hit, bought Bitcoin, and just taken it out before January 14th, right? Because before January 14th, we didn't have any limits. We could actually just withdraw from crypto, right? From a crypto standpoint.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And do you remember where you were, what you were doing when the site went down?
This was a very tumultuous time for me. This happened at the worst time probably, which was because I quit my job in San Francisco. I was in this transitional phase where I was unemployed, and I was trying to find a job. So I was basically living at my parents' house when this happened. Uh, just doing interviews and stuff like that. So this was a very bad time for something like this to
Mm.
happen. Because I didn't. I was thinking the original reason I was getting this money back to Canada, right? So I can continue investing and putting my money in saving it in Canada and putting it into an account in Canada. So I thought I would have this money with me. Um, so I didn't plan for obviously didn't plan for something like this to happen. So I was totally unprepared for it. Yeah.
Hmm. You had plans for that money, for your future, for what you plan to do next. Can only imagine what, you felt. Were you angry? Were you sad? Were you depressed? How did you feel?
Yeah, I was pretty depressed. But to be honest, I was kind of already depressed to begin with for most of 2018. So I was. The thing is about cryptocurrency is like I already invested money into cryptocurrency, not with Quadriga, but with other accounts. I already lost most of that money because crypto was crashing at that point. I was down like 80-90%. I already lost over 150,000 at that point, and this was just the rest of my savings. So it was like depression on top of depression, and I was already on antidepressants and stuff at that time. So it was just a really bad time for me. Yeah.
And so, this was a really emotional story, and this is such a challenging time for you, and so for many other people who lost their money. Why did you decide to go public with your story?
Um, Going public. Well, I think it was a YouTube video I did, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I had a YouTube account I used. I'm fairly often I upload videos on YouTube, so this was just another vlog thing. Never expected it to really go viral or anything. It's just something that happened in my life, and I wanted to get it out because just keeping it inside is not going to help anyone, and it's just going to make me even more depressed. So yeah.
What was the response from the video? Did you get any interesting comments or anything that sticks out once you uploaded it?
Well, about half of them were like sympathetic comments. The other half were kind of hateful comments,
Mm.
like, "Oh, it's your fault, and you shouldn't have taken that risk, and you shouldn't have put that much money, and you should have done more research, and not your keys, not your coins." These type of comments. Yeah, so about half sympathetic, half hateful.
I'm sorry about that. Did you respond to the haters or you're just like, no, ignore?
Eventually, I turned off the comments. I think that saved me a lot of stress.
And how did your family react to the news?
Um,
The news of Quadriga shutting down and your money lost?
well, I didn't want to tell my dad actually. I told my mom initially, and I think she kind of felt bad for me. But it was it was kind of irresponsibility on my part as well, because I should have. I mean, it's true I should have done more research and things like that. And just anytime you're working with this amount of money, I didn't realize. I think when you're working with this amount of money, like now, like $50,000 seems like it is a lot of money to me. But at that time, when you have so much in your account, you don't think much of it, right? So, I guess think of it this way: if you have like $1 million, right, 50,000 doesn't seem like a lot. Um, when you have only $50,000 in your account, then 50,000 seems like a lot, right? So it's kind of like when you had a lot of money. When I had a lot of money in my account, I didn't think that much of it at the time. I sh- it was just, yeah, like it was a different feeling when you have that much money. So I guess you don't think of the risks that you're taking as much with that amount. Like now, I think of it as a lot because I don't have that much money in my account anymore. But back then, it was a different feeling, and I didn't take as many precautions as I should have. Uh, so yeah, it was hard breaking this to my parents, but I think they understood because this is something that for a lot of other people, if I don't think I think this is a life-changing thing, and I didn't want to get myself into the I was already depressed, but I wanted to still, talk to my friends, talk to my family, and try to help myself. I didn't want to end up in a really bad situation, in a really dark place because of this. I know some people would have, but I didn't want to go down that route.
Hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about Quadriga Uncovered in the beginning? I know that it's a space for other individuals who used Quadriga on Telegram.
Yeah, Kodriga uncovered. It's actually it was started by another guy, but he's not active anymore. I think eventually it just became the main Telegram. There was like a lot of Telegram groups at first. Then that one kind of became the de facto main one. I joined it fairly early, so I know all the history of that. So at the beginning, it was just people trying to find answers and writing up the lawyers and stuff like that. So we had a bunch of lawyers that were competing for this case. Eventually, Miller Thompson won to be the lawyer, and they selected the representative committee, which is a group of effective users. And that was kind of the beginning, was getting all the lawyers and everything and the legal stuff and getting answers and frustrated people and things like that, and investigating what really happened. And I think this is was in 2019, right? So this was like February, March 2019. So this is more than a year and a half later. So I think by now there hasn't been that many updates from EY, which is they're kind of doing this case, and Miller Thompson as well. And we haven't gotten much transparency from them. We haven't gotten many answers from them. So I think people are really frustrated. But at this point, like I think a lot of people gave up. Like, we already kind of knew the claims that were coming in, like they were going to be quite large, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of just the accepting defeat that we're not going to get much back from this, and it's going to take a very long time.
You say some people have given up. Have you?
Kind of. I try not to think about this anymore, right? I know there's some people in the channel that are still trying to investigate and stuff, but I try not to think about this anymore. I try to just move on with my life. Um, it's just I don't want to keep thinking about this this thing that happened to me. I want to kind of
Mm-hmm.
just get past it.
Mm-hmm. And getting back to Telegram, do you remember some of the people who were on there when this first happened?
I don't know how much I'm supposed to reveal, but like all I can say is like the people. There have been like a lot of good people that have been doing some investigation themselves, that I think have been doing a better job than EY or the RCMP or the FBI. Like there have been a lot of people there on the Telegram that have done their own investigations, and it's been pretty good. So a lot of that came out in the Vanity Fair article about Quadriga. So that one's called "The Strange Tale of Quadriga." A lot of those interview, um, actually a lot of those investigation dug up a lot of interesting kind of stories that you can see on the Vanity Fair article.
Uh, can you share just some of the people from Quadriga on there that have done some of that work?
Um, Again, I'm not sure like how much I'm supposed to review here because of the privacy things. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to share, but I can tell you that they've done a lot of good like investigative work on there. So we found out that Gerald Cotton has been pretty much scamming since he was young, and he and Mike Patrin, who used to be this guy named Omar Danini, they were in cahoots for a very long time before. So all these other guys, I think Jerry has had a pretty rough. Like he's had like that history of scamming going back to when he was a kid. So
Mm-hmm.
we found that out.
It's really interesting that you said you're not sure how much you can share. Is there like some oath of secrecy on the Quadriga Uncovered Telegram, or is it just you're all united in the fact that you don't share with outsiders very much?
Well, I want to protect the privacy of other people on there, and I didn't like it would be. I don't think it'd be right for me just to reveal names of people without asking them, right?
Mm-hmm. I had to ask. It's my job. Don't hate me. So, I won't ask you about the names, but, what was being said about Michael Pritrin, um, when you were communicating on Telegram? Because, as you mentioned, a lot of people were doing their own investigations outside of the police and Ontario OCS and everyone.
Yeah. So well, we basically found out Mike Patrin and Jerry Cotton have been going back since at least 2004, 2005, for a while ago, and they've been together on various money making schemes, like Ponzi schemes, high yield investment schemes. Um, we found a lot of proof on that on different forums and websites back then. Uh, so then they created Quadriga together. As you know, Mike Patrin is a co-founder. Apparently, according to Mike himself, he was actually on the Telegram for a while. First under Mike and then under Chad. That was his names. I'm not sure if he's on there anymore, but he was on there for a while. And his story is that he hasn't been talking to Jerry since 2016, when they apparently split up. So I don't know the full details of how they of the friction between them, why they split up, but that's according to him. That's how it happened, and he doesn't talk to Jerry. He hasn't talked to Jerry since then.
Do you believe him? Do you believe that Michael hasn't been in contact with Jerry since then?
I don't know. I don't have any evidence to think otherwise, though. Right? I don't have any evidence that they communicated since then.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Michael was in on the scam at Quadriga at all?
I'm not sure. He actually claimed himself as a creditor, so he actually had a claim. So if you recall, in the EY documents, there was like
Mm-hmm.
215 million worth of claims, which actually turned out to be a bit more than that. We saw in May, EY
Mm-hmm.
released the last report, which pretty much every user that could have claimed, pretty much every large amount that could have been claimed was claimed. So yeah, roughly like 215 to 240 million ish was claimed. So I think Mike probably would have been part of that.
And I know, especially in the early days of the collapse of Quadriga, there were a lot of conspiracies going around. Can you share with me some of the ones you heard or saw?
For conspiracies, the obvious one is that Jerry faked his own death, and that he's living on some like remote location. Maybe he did plastic surgery. I don't know, but he's
Mm-hmm.
that's the main one is that Jerry faked his death, and actually there was an order to exhume Jerry's body, but I'm not sure if that has been followed yet or not. Um, but that was the main theory. Personally, I don't believe he faked his own death, but a lot of people do think that. And then there's other conspiracies involving his widow, Jennifer Robertson. She was acting very strangely at the funeral, and then she had his will written up like 2 weeks before he died. Then
Mm-hmm.
she changed her name multiple times in the past. Uh, like I don't know, she alleged she didn't have any involvement in Kadriga, but later we found out she was doing payment processing for them, so she already lied under oath. And then apparently there was a safe in Jerry's attic, and she apparently had it since we got the story from Aaron Matthews that when he and Alex Hannon, who was the developer for Kadriga, when they visited Jerry's home after Jennifer Robinson left, they saw the safe was no longer there. So apparently may have been something in the safe. We don't know, right? So there's a lot of conspiracies, and plus she was the only one that was with Jerry when he died, right? And his diagnosis of Crohn's disease and dying so fast because of it is a little bit suspicious. And she's probably the only one that could really know what happened because she was the only one there at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of conspiracy theories with her. I think, and then Mike Patron as well, right? Were they colluding or not? Who knows? And some of the other guys as well. Some people, don't like Aaron Matthews or Alex Hannon. How much involvement did they have in it? So yeah, I mean, but I say like the three main ones: Jerry faking his own death, Jennifer Robertson having something to do with it, and Mike Patron having something to do with it.
And, one of those theories is that Jerry is still alive and this is all part of an elaborate scam. You don't think he's alive though?
No, I don't. I actually don't think he's alive. There's there's a leaked chat logs that came out. I think it was leaked on Reddit. Someone leaked this last year, and it was his chats with Aaron Matthews all the way up until the date of his death. Um, I think Aaron Matthews might have leaked this himself. So if you follow the chat log, it basically says that he had plans for Kadriga, like he had plans for like a mobile app and things like that, more Bitcoin ATMs, and he had plans to hire more developers. A lot of those things don't seem like the plans for somebody that would fake their own death. It just didn't seem like the right timing, and it also doesn't make sense why he would do this right when Bitcoin was at the bottom, essentially. So he would take in a huge loss. Like it was like the the lowest, right, of when Bitcoin went down. I think it was, how Bitcoin's gone up quite a bit now.
Mm-hmm.
So this was when
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin is at the very bottom. It doesn't really make sense for him to exit scam right at the very bottom. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my personal opinion.
And, as you mentioned, Jennifer is also part of the conspiracy theories that have been going around the internet, in person, in media for so long as well. Is there anything you would want to ask Jennifer or you'd want to know from her?
Well, I want to know if there is actually a dead man switch that got flipped or not. Because I think Jerry would know about that if to program a dead man switch. And if that happened, then the keys would actually be sent to probably to Jennifer actually. Like she would have the idea of the cold wallets and the keys, and she hasn't said anything. And she could say, "Oh, I don't have anything," but she could be lying about that because she's lied before. So that what was the contents of the safe? Like we don't know that. I really want to know what happened in India. So the breakdown of what happened day to day would be interesting to hear that because I want to know how Jerry got Crohn's disease. Like, how did he die of that so fast? Right? It's not normal for someone to die of Crohn's disease that fast. So,
And there's so much money at stake. What do you think happened to it?
uh, so the official story is that Jerry gambled with these funds
Yeah. Yeah.
on other exchanges, and he lost this money because he was a really bad trader. So if you want to believe that, then this money just went nowhere. It just evaporated, basically. Um,
But what do you think? Do you think that's the true story, or do you have your own theories?
um, I don't know. It's hard to like. I don't know if this a lot of money, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you could possibly hide this amount of money. It's like even his assets, him and Jennifer's assets are not that much. Like they have a couple $1 million in homes, which are probably going to be sold soon. But other than that, I'm not sure. This is like 200 something $1 million worth. For the other amounts of money, like there's still like so much money that's unaccounted for. I don't really know.
Yeah.
And then EY looked at the cold wallets, and then people did cold wallet analysis and found that there's either no cold wallet or no money in those cold wallets. So I don't know where else the money could be.
Right. And I think, as you mentioned with the cold wallets, there was no money in it. Um, and some would say that is a perfect example of why this is an exit scheme and that Jerry is alive somewhere.
Yeah,
What
but
do you think?
it doesn't make sense for him to exit at that time when Bitcoin was at the lowest. It would make sense for him to exit maybe end of 2017 when Bitcoin was at the highest. Um, I don't know. A lot of things don't add up.
Hmm.
Why December 2018? Why that date in particular? I don't. It's not really a good date for exit scamming.
And I know you are part of a group of 17,000 users represented by a law firm who are involved in trying to recover as much money as possible. Can you tell me a little bit about how that process has been so far?
Yeah, so like I said, Miller Thompson was chosen as our representative
Yeah.
law firm, and a lot of people aren't satisfied with it because they really haven't been giving us many updates or details. Pretty much everything that they've said is just operational, like administrative stuff, like make sure you check this, make sure you're filing claims, just kind of repeating what EY already said. And for a lot of their questions, they just said, oh, they just defer to the representative committee. I think the representative committee has actually been doing a pretty good job of actually standing up for our interests, given the fact that they're not paid for anything; they're just volunteers. I think they've been doing more than Miller Thompson, even though Miller
Mm-hmm.
Thompson's the one who's being paid. I've also been frustrated with the legal fees that's been going on, since we don't have a lot of money to distribute anyways. All we have is the amount that the CIBC bank froze for us. So ironically, that's the money that we have that's got saved for us, and then uh, whatever the money we get from Jennifer Robertson's houses, that's it. And then we get legal fees deducted from that, which I don't know how much it's going to be. That keeps going up, I think. I don't know how long it takes to count up these claims, but it seems like it's a lot of money just to do something like that. And then there's going to be the CRA, which is another X factor. We don't know what the CRA is going to claim. So, but like, I don't think that Quadriga made any profits. Doesn't seem like they made any profits, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. And so some of the problems with the process in your mind is the communication with the law firm and the fees involved. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. There's a communication issue because they don't. they don't update us much. It doesn't seem like they're doing much from our point of view. Uh, the communication with law enforcement, no updates there, and the legal fees. So to us, to most of the people on Kutchiga Uncovered, I think I can speak for the people there that we just haven't picked any many updates, and it seems like they're just siphoning money for not doing anything.
How does that make you feel?
Frustrated, angry, because it's like we're already getting scammed, and now we're getting scammed again by lawyers. So definitely frustration.
And I'm wondering, like, how much money have you lost at the end of the day? How much do you know the specific number?
For myself,
Yeah, for yourself personally.
and like you're talking all crypto or just Quadriga?
Just Quadriga. Do you know how much you've lost through them, through the exchange?
Oh yes, it's 500,000.
500,000. And do you have any faith that you'll get anything back? I'm not saying you'll get the full 500,000 back, but do you have any faith you'll get something back that you'll be able to use in the future?
Yeah, so like I said, we have a pool of money that's available to us. Is not very much. It's
Hmm.
about 30 to 40 million. And then we have the whatever minus whatever legal fees, and then minus whatever the CRA takes from us, and then divided amongst all the claims, which
Yes.
was like 230, 240. It actually depends. This is going to go to the judge, the district judge. How are they going to determine uh, how much it claims? Because it depends on how you value the crypto. So
Hmm.
if you value the crypto by like last February's dates, it's going to be a lot lower. If you value the crypto by, and that was the date of the CCAA proceedings, and if you value the crypto by last April's dates, which is the date of the actual bankruptcy, then the crypto value is going to be higher. So that means for me, I didn't have that much crypto on Quadriga. Most of my money was in the Canadian dollars. So
Yeah.
then there's less money available to people who had Canadian dollars like me. So I think by my estimation, it should be something back, but it's probably going to be like 5, 6% back. It's not going to be really more than
Hmm.
that.
Hmm. I'm wondering how do you feel? Like, what angers you most about all of this? Because this process has been going on for a while, and you have no idea when it's going to end.
Well, actually, my disappointment is in the Canadian law system. That's my main disappointment here. Like they should have caught Quadriga way before this happened. The CRA, if they audited Quadriga and did their job, this wouldn't have happened. They would have been shut down, right? They wouldn't have been allowed to. Because first of all, Jennifer Robertson she was reporting only $5,000 of income on her tax returns. So she was reporting fraudulent tax returns, which the CRA didn't catch on. Then Quadriga was not reporting taxes for 3 whole years. So how are they allowed to do this? So if Canadian law enforcement actually did their job, then this wouldn't have happened. So I think that's my biggest disappointment is with the. I thought Canada was this great first world country, that had a great law system. Like, oh, we're better than the U.S. and we could do all this. But once this happened, I kind of lost faith. Right? It's like this shouldn't have happened not in Canada. This is not Africa. It's not China. Like,
Mhm.
how did this happen in Canada? Right? I don't get why there's so many scams going on here. If you look at the other crypto exchanges, Einstein, Easy Bitcoin, what's the other, Cryptsy, whatever, all these were Canadian exchanges that failed and had scams. So like, how was there so many scams in Canada? Like, I don't hear of this in the U.S. Right? In the U.S. bank exchanges, we have Gemini, Bitrex, Coinbase. None of them, like all of them, are kind of like regulated, right? But we don't have any regulation here. It seems like no one really cares. Like the Canadian law enforcement doesn't care. So I don't know. I'm just disappointed about that.
So we need more regulation, you would say here in Canada.
Yeah, at least up to the level that there is in the U.S. I think that you get some. For example, in the U.S. you have FDIC insured, so I think we would have something that's CDIC insured or something like that would go a long way. Or just having a better regulatory system for crypto exchanges here, because the thing is, if there's not regulated, if the more that the Canadian government tries to keep out these crypto exchanges and have a hard line towards them, the more chance that scams are going to happen, right?
And so how do you feel about cryptocurrency in general now?
Um, for me, it's hard to say because crypto is kind of a speculative thing. Like people
Yes.
say that it's going to be the future and it's going to replace physical cash and everything. Um, but it's hard because you need to have some amount of regulation there. If you don't have regulation, then this can't be accepted by people. Like it's not going to be stable. You're going to have people that's going to take advantage, like all these ICOs and other scams. It's so easy to scam people when it's not regulated. So it needs to be
Hmm.
regulated first. But if it's regulated, then that's basically the same as fiat currency. So like that's already basically fiat currency. So I don't know. I think it's trying to solve this problem a lot of people want solved, but I'm not sure whether it's going to get there because the the act of solving it requires it to be like fiat currency, which a lot of crypto users don't like. So yeah, I'm not
Hmm.
sure. Right now, it's kind of just the speculative asset.
Hmm. But you did mention that in the US there are more regulations. So would you feel more comfortable using a US exchange
Yeah, I'm definitely more
than a Canadian?
comfortable using U.S. exchange because I've never had any issues with any of them. But it's not going to change the nature of crypto, which is that what's its use case, right? Right now, people like when was the last time you ever like I know people accept Bitcoin and stuff as payment, right? But how much of that is accepted right now still versus like credit cards and cash and things like that? So it's still not taken over. Uh, it's not as mainstream as it needs to be.
And how has this experience impacted you? How have you changed because of the this whole saga?
Try to be less risk taking. Uh, do more research, and just yeah, don't put everything like even if I was to send money, it should not have been everything at once, right? Uh, so just things like that. It seems like it's common sense, but that's like the hindsight, right? When you look at it, um, from the future now, it's like you should never put that much money into one transaction, like no matter
Hmm.
what, right? Like it's yeah. I guess I was kind of caught off guard because I trusted a lot of crypto exchanges. So I was using a lot of crypto exchanges before that were like small ones, um, ones outside of the U.S. too, and I never had any issues with any of them. So this Canadian exchange, I thought I could just trust, but now I learned my lesson is to be more careful.
And, I've seen your YouTube channel. You have a lot of followers who really like your stuff. If you had to pick one song that would represent this entire saga and everything you've been through,
Hmm.
what would it be?
That's that's a hard one. Uh, that's a hard one. I don't know. I can't think of any right now. It's like because this I would need some time to think about this song. Yeah,
Hmm.
all I can say is it's some sort of it's definitely a tragedy uh, that doesn't really have. Well, I'm not sure if it has any silver lining to it. It might be that the Canadian government might take crypto more seriously and might put some regulations into place. If that's true, then that'll be good. I'm just hoping that something good comes out of it. At least we can put some silver lining. I hope, but I don't know. Right now, it just seems like we got bad news, and then we kept getting bad news. Like this year,
Yeah.
I was hoping that there wouldn't be that many people that claimed. I was hoping some of them would be criminals or money launderers, but I didn't think that they would all be legit. But according to EY, they're all legit. So yeah, that's more bad news.
And I'm curious, after Jerry died in India, what did you think would happen? Were you at home, waiting to hear about a dead man switch? Were you optimistic still at that point?
Um, well, actually, when a company CEO dies, usually it it doesn't mean the collapse of the company. Like in a normal company, they have a successor plan in place, and it goes to the, for example, a good one's Apple, right? Steve Jobs died. Obviously, the successor plan was to hand it over to Tim Cook, and then he took it over, and he's been managing it pretty well. So that's a normal company. With Quadriga, like I thought there would be a successor plan because that's what most companies would have. So I didn't expect that Jerry would be the only one who had the keys to the wallet and everything, that he would be the only one that knows where all the missing funds with, that he was a scammer in the past and he's been doing this for a very long time. I had no idea. So that was, yeah, I reacted. The first reaction was that, oh, okay, they'll just have a replacement successor like Aaron Matthews. I think that's what they said. They said, well, Aaron Matthews is supposed to be the new CEO. So I thought, okay, well, Aaron Matthews takes over and hopefully we'll get our money after the lawsuit. So I did not think that Jerry was the only one, in charge of all this, and that, the whole thing turned out to be like a Ponzi scheme.
Hmm. And, last question, just throughout everything since you first heard about Quadriga till now, is there any one moment that really stands out to you looking back? Could be
Uh,
small, could be big.
like a moment that changed everything.
Yeah, for you.
Oh, it was the moment when Jerry's death was announced,
Hmm.
because that's when Kadriga turned into a company. I originally didn't think, like I originally trusted them. I didn't think that I would get scammed, and then I just thought it would. I just wait a few more months, and then the money would come, and then that's the moment where basically it became like a scam for me. So
Hmm. And how would you describe, what's happened and some would say still happening on Reddit and Telegram at this moment? So many people invested in doing their own research, digging through Jerry's past, Michael's past.
well, I actually hope that Jerry's alive, because there's a lot of questions people can ask him. Uh, I don't think he's alive, but I actually hope he is, because then we can catch him and maybe we'll be able to get all our money back. I don't know. But I don't think he's alive though.
Hmm. How would you describe, though, this rabid group of people who day and night, though, are just digging into and really uncovering a lot of things that sometimes the police haven't even been able to find? How would you describe this unity to uncover everything related to Quadriga?
Well, I respect them because they have obviously more time than I do and more determination than I do. I kind of just wanted to get over this and move on with my life. But yeah, those people, like, they spend a lot of time and energy to investigate and uncover the truth and do more than law enforcement, and that's great. Yeah, I really, and they're doing this with their spare time with no pay or anything. So that's props. Hats off to them.
Last question. I think, some people listening to this series, hearing you, would be amazed at how calm you sound about losing $500,000. You seem so calm and put together and very thoughtful about your answers. How are you able to remain so put together in light of everything?
Uh, I guess for me, like last year was when it happened. So I was in a depressed state. I talked to my family and friends, and they helped me lift up. It kind of made me realize that at the end of the day, it's just money, and it is a lot of money, but it's still money. It's something that I can make back, right? So it's not like it could have been worse. And I always think of it like it could have been worse. People still have it worse than me, right? There's other people suffering in the world that have it worse than me, and this this is bad, but it can be overcome, and I can come back from this. It's not like I got paralyzed. It's not like I have a life threatening disease. It's not like something like that. So I think that I thought of it this way. That kind of helped me um, rationalize it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. And, have to ask, do you remember what your lowest point was? What that moment was when you hit rock bottom because of this, because you had to endure so much?
Um, yeah, probably like February of last year. That was after everything, like, then you knew it went bankrupt, the website went offline. I was like, okay, I lost all my money. I was unemployed. I was living with my parents because I didn't have anywhere to stay. I didn't have an apartment anymore. Left San Francisco. I didn't have any friends anymore either because I moved to a new place. So that was basically rock bottom for me. And uh, I don't know. It's just from that point on. I was like, okay, I have no luck, but I'm gonna try to make the best of it. This it can't be worse than that.
Hmm.
Right.
Is there something that helped pull you through? I know you mentioned family and friends. Was it playing music? Was it your YouTube videos? What brought you back into life?
Um. Yeah, probably just playing. Yeah, I like playing music. Electronics, doing my YouTube reviews and things like that, which I do as a hobby. So, I mean, just those things, I guess. I didn't think like yeah. I guess I wasn't the type of guy to be like super super emotional, right? So I just thought about the stuff that I could still live on for and enjoy, and I thought I could,
Hmm.
well, I can still enjoy this stuff. I'm not like my health isn't. I think health is actually the most important thing. At least that wasn't affected. It was just money, but eventually it might take 10 years or something, but it'll still. So I'll be able to come back still. It's not like it's basically like all my savings from when I graduated until then, but it's not like I lost any of the knowledge. So I could still use the knowledge to find a job and stuff like that. So um, it's not like I lost my knowledge, right? So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. I really love your perspective on things. Those are all of my questions. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. Sorry, I do have one more question. With that amount of money you did have, what were you planning to use it for? What were you saving for?
Just investment. Like I would have got a house in Vancouver probably, and then just use the rest for investment. By the way, if I had kept that in Bitcoin, it would have doubled. So
Oh,
that's just something I was thinking about is, hey, if I didn't transfer it to Quadriga, I bought Bitcoin when it was at $5,000. Now it's at like, I don't know, 11,000 or something. So, well, that's something I don't want to think about too much, but
right.
it's just another what if.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us and taking the time out of your day to answer my questions. I'm gonna just poke my producers to bring them back on in case they have anything else they'd like to add.
Sure.
Hey there. Thank you so
You.
much. That was great. Thank you, Tom.
No problem.
And so will you be sending me those files then? Did we actually break? We did, didn't
We
we?
didn't. We didn't. We didn't break.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I should have piped in.
No,
Oh
we
well.
didn't
I'll
break.
send you the full
All
file
right.
then.
All right, thank you. I think if you upload it to Google, we'll be okay. We'll be fine.
Okay.
My apologies, guys. All right. Thank you so much again. It was good seeing you. And yeah, just yeah, if you upload it and send it to me, that'll be great. Have a great afternoon.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I guess my takeaway from this whole ordeal is that in the future I have to be more careful. I have to do my due diligence. I have to do my homework um, before I work for such a large amount of money, right? I mean, that seems like common sense, but it's just something I had to live and learn, right? Right? I had to learn from this so that in the future I can be stronger and so that I don't go through this again, right? So, yep.